Chosen one, pause for a moment and let this land gently, not as noise, not as pressure, but as truth meeting you exactly where you are. Something has shifted globally, spiritually, and personally, and you didn't imagine it. The strange sense that the air feels different, the quiet endings, the subtle restlessness that wouldn't let you settle for less anymore, those were signs. Not of chaos, but of movement. January 11th is not just another date you flip past on a calendar. It is a spiritually marked moment, a timestamp that carries intention and authorization. This isn't coincidence. This isn't motivational language. This is divine authorship unfolding in real time. While the world continues moving at its usual pace, unseen adjustments have been taking place, timelines recalibrated, spiritual permissions released, resistance lifted in places you couldn't reach on your own. This is why things that once felt heavy suddenly feel neutral. This is why what used to drain you no longer holds the same power. Urgency doesn't mean fear here, it means awareness. It means recognizing that this is a moment to pay attention, not because something bad is coming, but because something long-awaited has been cleared to arrive. January 11th stands as an announcement, not of instant perfection, but of divine approval. A quiet but firm declaration that what was once restricted is now allowed. You didn't force this. You didn't manipulate outcomes. You endured, you aligned, you stayed standing when it would have been easier to quit. And now, the shift you've been sensing internally is being confirmed externally. This is not about hype. It's about recognition. Recognition that heaven has been active even when life felt silent. Recognition that this chapter was written long before you ever questioned whether it would come. And recognition that you are not early, late, or mistaken. You are present at the exact moment this message was meant to reach you. There are seasons when effort alone can't explain where you end up, and this is one of them. Look back honestly, you didn't grind your way into this positioning. You didn't outwork everyone. You didn't force doors or chase validation. Somehow, even when things didn't make sense, you were held in place. That wasn't stagnation. That was placement. You were being aligned with the correct timeline, the correct frequency, the exact positioning required for what's unfolding now. While others rushed ahead and burned out, or settled early and grew comfortable, you were slowed down, sometimes painfully so. But that slowing wasn't punishment. It was protection. This moment wasn't improvised. It wasn't created out of desperation. It was written long ago, built into your path before you understood why patience was being demanded of you. That's why so many almosts never materialized. Why opportunities that looked perfect fell apart at the last minute. Why doors closed without explanation. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. January 11th marks a shift away from measuring life by calendar time and into spiritual alignment. This isn't about dates anymore. It's about readiness. Internal posture finally matching external permission. You're not trying to become someone new. You're finally stepping into what you've been prepared to hold. This is why comparison never worked for you. Your pace never matched theirs because your assignment never did. You were following a different clock, one that doesn't rush and doesn't waste. And now, that clock is moving forward with intention. You didn't miss anything. You weren't forgotten. You were being positioned precisely, and now that positioning is becoming visible. Every real shift begins where the eyes can't see it. Before circumstances change, permission changes. Before provision appears, alignment is established. And right now, movement has already begun in the unseen. As of this moment, there has been a rerouting of resources, of opportunities, of favor, of ideas, and of connections toward you. Not randomly, Not emotionally, intentionally. What felt like silence wasn't inactivity. It was preparation happening beyond your awareness. Your name wasn't added late. It wasn't an afterthought. It was already listed, already approved, already accounted for. This transfer doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't announce itself with chaos or spectacle. It begins quietly, internally, often with a sense of calm you can't fully explain. You may notice your thoughts stabilizing before your circumstances do. You may feel peace before anything tangible changes. That's how you know this is real. The unseen always moves first. Financial pathways are adjusting. Professional doors are repositioning. Conversations you're not part of yet are already happening in your favor. This isn't something you need to beg for or chase down. It's already responding to alignment. Your role now is not to force movement, but to stay steady. To resist slipping back into fear-based thinking. To stop assuming that nothing is happening just because you can't measure it yet. When the unseen shifts, the visible eventually follows. And when it does, it will feel natural, not overwhelming, not shocking, just right. This message isn't meant to be half-heard or passively consumed. It's instruction, alignment, and activation. That's why presence matters here. Stay engaged not because someone told you to, but because agreement is powerful. Conscious participation shifts atmosphere. When intention, attention, and action align, momentum forms. That's why I'm asking you to comment warm wishes and the number 99, not as superstition, but as a symbolic act of agreement. Symbols carry meaning. Agreement creates alignment. Collective focus amplifies frequency. Universal law responds when awareness and intention move together. Liking, subscribing, or pressing the hype button isn't about algorithms. It's about marking the moment. It's about saying, I'm here. I'm open. I agree with what's being activated. Small actions anchor decisions internally. They tell your subconscious and your spirit that this moment matters. This isn't about performance. It's about participation. The atmosphere around you responds to what you consciously affirm. When you engage intentionally, you're not just listening, you're aligning yourself with what's already been released. Don't underestimate that. Alignment isn't loud, but it's powerful. What if the waiting wasn't rejection at all? What if every delay that frustrated you was actually calibration? This is one of the hardest truths to accept, especially when the waiting felt endless. But in divine systems, delay is rarely denial, it's preparation. Things weren't withheld because you weren't ready emotionally. They were held back because systems had to align within you and around you. Capacity had to be built. Discernment had to mature. Strength had to deepen quietly. If certain things had arrived earlier, they would have overwhelmed you, distracted you, or cost you more than they gave. The delay shaped your patience. It refined your integrity. It taught you how to remain grounded without guarantees. And now that season has done its work. The approval has already been granted. The waiting accomplished its purpose. You don't need to repeat that lesson. You don't need to prove anything again. What's coming isn't rushed, but it is ready. There were moments when no one knew how heavy things felt. Nights when sleep wouldn't come because your thoughts wouldn't quiet. Times when you questioned yourself in silence, wondering if perseverance was wisdom or just stubborn hope. Those moments mattered. Every tear you wiped away privately, every deep breath you took just to get through another day, none of it was overlooked. You weren't ignored. You weren't invisible. You were seen fully, even when you felt unseen by the world. God was aware of the questions you never spoke aloud, the frustration you masked with strength, the weariness you carried without complaint. And now, something is changing. The question, will I ever catch a break, is being gently answered, not with noise, but with reassurance. Yes, relief is coming, not as chaos, but as calm. A wave of favor is beginning to move toward you, and it doesn't crash, it flows. You may notice emotional heaviness lifting before circumstances improve. That's not imagination. That's confirmation. Divine acknowledgement often arrives as peace first, long before evidence follows. And that peace is your signal that something has shifted. You remained honest when cutting corners would have gotten you ahead faster. You chose integrity when no one would have blamed you for doing otherwise. In seasons where resources were thin and recognition was absent, you stayed true to who you are. That loyalty wasn't wasted. It was noted. Being overlooked wasn't punishment, it was concealment. While others were exposed too early or elevated without foundation, you were protected. This moment isn't compensation for suffering. It's overflow from faithfulness. There's a difference. Payment settles a debt. Overflow expands capacity. What's being released now carries no bitterness, no resentment, no sense of finally. Instead, it carries peace. It carries stability. It carries sustainability. January 11th marks a shift where integrity meets provision, where loyalty in lack gives way to abundance with purpose. You weren't faithful for applause, you were faithful because it aligned with who you are. And now, that alignment is returning to you multiplied. When the shift becomes visible, it will seem sudden to everyone else, but not to you. You felt it coming for a long time. The elevation won't announce itself loudly. It won't demand explanations or justifications. It will be quiet, graceful, almost understated. One day, things will simply work differently. Doors will open without resistance. Conversations will flow without strain. Opportunities will appear without desperation. And people may wonder how it happened, but you won't feel the need to explain. Divine elevation doesn't require defense. It's internally confirmed before it's externally proven. You'll know before anyone else does. January 11th initiates that silent shift where change doesn't need validation and progress doesn't need permission. What's meant for you will recognize you without noise. This season isn't about chasing money for status or comparison. It's about understanding wealth as a tool, not an identity. True abundance isn't measured only in numbers. It's measured in impact, freedom, and sustainability. You're being positioned not just to receive, but to fund purpose, support vision, and build something that outlives momentary gain. Wealth, in this context, is alignment between resources and responsibility. It's the ability to move without fear, give without depletion, and create without anxiety. January 11th marks a shift from survival-based earning to purpose-driven provision. You're not meant to idolize money or fear it, you're meant to steward it. And stewardship requires maturity, clarity, and restraint, all of which you've been developing quietly. This isn't about excess for ego. It's about provision for assignment. Point one of the biggest changes happening now isn't external, it's internal. You're breaking out of survival mode. The constant tension, the fear of loss, the need to brace for the worst, it's loosening its grip. You're stepping into an identity that expects provision rather than fears scarcity. Peace is beginning to replace panic. Faith is slowly overtaking anxiety. You're learning that you don't have to cling tightly to everything to stay safe. There is support now. There is flow now. January 11th represents a turning point where you stop merely surviving and start stewarding, managing what's entrusted to you with calm, wisdom, and confidence. This identity shift is subtle, but it's powerful. And it's what allows everything else to follow. What you are stepping into now does not operate by the same rules that exhausted you before. This is not the economy of striving, overworking, or constantly proving your worth. Divine economy functions on alignment, not burnout. In this system, obedience matters more than effort, and timing matters more than force. That's why things are about to move faster, not because you're doing more, but because resistance has been removed. January 11th marks the moment where acceleration replaces delay. What once took years to build will begin to take weeks to establish. What required endless effort will now respond to favor. This doesn't mean you stop showing up, it means you stop dragging yourself forward without grace. Divine speed doesn't feel frantic, it feels smooth. You'll notice progress without pressure, movement without exhaustion. This is supernatural efficiency, where the right people appear at the right moment, where solutions arrive before problems escalate, where momentum builds naturally. Obedience becomes currency here. When you move in alignment, resources follow. When you listen and respond, doors open. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being positioned. And right now, positioning is working in your favor. As this shift unfolds, confirmations will begin to appear, not all at once, but steadily. Some will be tangible, unexpected deposits, approvals that move faster than usual, opportunities that come without you chasing them. Others will be subtle, but just as powerful. Ideas that feel clear instead of forced, conversations that open doors, connections that seem timely beyond coincidence. These signs won't follow a straight line, and that's important to understand. Wealth and provision don't always arrive as money first. Sometimes they arrive as insight, access, or alignment that later multiplies into financial gain. When these things happen, resist the urge to dismiss them as luck. These are confirmations, not coincidences. January 11th initiates a phase where evidence replaces uncertainty. You won't need to convince yourself anymore. Proof will show up quietly, consistently, and in ways that feel personal. And you don't owe explanations. Not every miracle needs narration. Some confirmations are meant to strengthen your faith, not satisfy someone else's curiosity. This season isn't just about personal relief. It's about generational interruption. You are positioned as the one who breaks cycles that existed long before you were born. Patterns of lack, instability, and financial stress didn't start with you, but they can end with you. That's why the pressure felt heavier. That's why resistance seemed disproportionate. You weren't just carrying your own expectations, you were carrying unresolved weight from your lineage. January 11th marks the release of that burden. What's being transferred now is not just wealth, but authority to end what once felt inevitable. You are the appointed interrupter, the one through whom provision flows differently. Financial release here is tied to healing, to freedom, to rewriting what future generations will consider normal. This isn't about excess, it's about restoration. When resources arrive, they don't just change your life, they change the story attached to your bloodline. Before anything changes on the outside, peace arrives on the inside. That's often the first and most reliable sign that release has been granted. You may notice anxiety lifting without explanation, a sense of calm settling where worry once lived. That isn't emotional numbness, it's spiritual clearance. January 11th initiates this internal quieting, where your nervous system no longer feels like it has to stay on alert. This peace isn't dependent on circumstances, it's preparatory. It creates space to receive without fear, to hold provision without panic, to move forward without constantly looking back. When peace shows up before evidence, it's confirmation that alignment has already occurred. This calm is not passive, it's readiness. There's a difference between being allowed into a space and being entrusted with responsibility within it. What's being released now isn't just access, it's authority. You're moving from receiver to steward. That means you're trusted to manage, distribute, and multiply what comes into your hands. This level of trust isn't given lightly. It's earned through consistency, humility, and integrity, qualities you've already demonstrated in obscurity. January 11th marks a transition where vision is backed with provision, where ideas are no longer just inspired, they're supported. Authority here doesn't mean control, it means responsibility. And you're ready for it. You'll notice subtle, but undeniable changes in how the world responds to you. People reply faster. Doors open more easily. Rooms feel more receptive. Visibility increases without you forcing it. This isn't ego, it's alignment. When authority shifts internally, environments adjust externally. January 11th initiates this responsive phase where you no longer have to chase validation or opportunity. You're recognized without campaigning. The anointing speaks louder than credentials. Your presence carries weight now, and you don't have to announce it. January 11th will not look dramatic on the surface. The sun will rise the same way, the world will move at its usual pace, and most people around you will treat it like any other ordinary day. But spiritually, it is anything but ordinary. This date becomes a marker, a quiet timestamp that separates what was from what is beginning now. One day, when you look back, you won't remember every detail of what happened, but you'll remember the feeling. You'll remember that something shifted internally, that your perspective changed, that the weight you had been carrying began to lift. January 11th is the kind of day that doesn't announce itself with fireworks, but leaves a permanent imprint on your timeline. It's the moment when unseen agreements are activated, when alignment becomes action, when permission turns into movement. Earth may call it normal, but the spirit recognizes it as historic. This date is not the finish line, it's the starting point. It marks the moment when what was authorized in the unseen begins its journey into form. Decisions made now carry unusual clarity. Steps taken now hold lasting impact. And even if you can't explain why, you'll know that this was the day everything quietly began to change. What is opening now is not a single breakthrough meant to impress you and then disappear. This is not a momentary high, not a lucky break, and not a one-time answer that leaves you anxious about what comes next. What begins after January 11th is a new rhythm, a sustained flow that replaces the old pattern of extremes. For so long, your life may have felt like survival followed by silence, effort followed by exhaustion, hope followed by disappointment. That cycle is ending. You are stepping into something steadier, quieter, and far more powerful, a river, not a rainstorm. Temporary blessings come with anxiety because you're always afraid they'll run out. Sustained flow brings peace because it teaches you that provision is no longer something you chase, it's something that accompanies you. This new normal doesn't shout. It settles in. Opportunities won't feel like emergencies anymore. Money won't arrive with chaos attached to it. Progress won't require you to sacrifice your well-being just to keep it. What's unfolding now is designed to last, to grow, and to support the life you're meant to build, not just the crisis you were trying to escape. Purpose and provision are beginning to walk together, and that changes everything. When provision walks with purpose, you no longer feel guilty for receiving, and you no longer fear losing it. You understand that flow is connected to alignment, not performance. January 11th marks the shift from praying for relief to living in rhythm, From asking, will this last, to realizing you are finally in a system that sustains you. This doesn't mean there won't be challenges. It means challenges won't drain you the way they used to. The source is no longer fragile. The supply is no longer seasonal. You're learning how to move with wisdom instead of urgency, how to plan without fear, and how to trust that what comes today is connected to what will come tomorrow. This is abundance with roots. Not flashy, not unstable, not overwhelming, but dependable. A flow that adjusts as you grow, that expands as your capacity expands. And once you step into this river, you don't have to keep starting over. You simply keep moving forward. There will come a point where you realize you no longer need to explain yourself, your journey, or your transformation. The shift will speak for itself. Your life will become the message, not through dramatic storytelling or constant justification, but through quiet evidence. People will notice the calm in your voice, the steadiness in your decisions, the ease with which you move through situations that once would have overwhelmed you. You won't need to announce what God has done, because the results will be visible in how you live, how you respond, and how you carry yourself. Peace will become your loudest testimony. Joy will appear where strain once lived. Freedom will show up in your choices, not just your words. This kind of testimony doesn't argue or defend itself. It doesn't need validation or applause. It simply exists. When others ask how things changed so drastically, your answer won't be complicated. It won't be rehearsed. Often, it will be silent. And when you do speak, the only explanation that will feel true is, God did this. Not because you're trying to sound spiritual, but because no other explanation fits. You'll know how much effort you stopped forcing. You'll remember how doors opened without manipulation. You'll recognize that peace arrived before proof, and stability followed without panic. That's not coincidence. That's alignment bearing fruit. January 11th marks the beginning of this wordless witness. From this point forward, you won't feel the need to convince anyone that you're chosen, aligned, or favored. Your life will quietly confirm it. People who doubted you won't need explanations. People who overlooked you won't need reminders. And people who supported you will simply smile, because they'll see the consistency, not just the outcome. Your testimony will no longer be about survival. It will be about transformation. About what happens when pressure gives way to purpose, when fear gives way to faith, and when striving gives way to flow. This is the kind of testimony that lasts. Not because it's loud, but because it's true. Chosen one. This is where everything comes together, not as a sudden explosion, but as a settled truth. You are aligned. You are ready. And the command has already been released. There is no more waiting room, no hidden checklist you still need to complete, no final test standing between you and what has been authorized. What once felt backed up, delayed, or stuck has been cleared. The system is open. The flow is now. January 11th is not a promise of someday, it is a declaration of now. Not rushed, not chaotic, not overwhelming, just open. From this point forward, you are no longer operating from survival or uncertainty. You are moving with provision, direction, and backing. You don't have to force momentum anymore. You follow it. You don't have to prove yourself to be worthy. The authorization itself confirms it. What comes next will meet you where you are, not where you used to be. This is a season of movement without panic, growth without burnout, and receiving without guilt. You are not stepping into something fragile. You are stepping into something sustained. Let this settle deeply. Heaven is not reconsidering. There is no reversal pending. What has been released is already in motion, and it responds to alignment, not fear. Your responsibility now is simple but powerful. Stay present, stay grounded, stay honest with yourself. You don't need to announce every step. You don't need to explain the process. You don't need to rush the unfolding. Flow doesn't need pressure to work. So stand in this truth with confidence and calm. You are chosen. Not because of comparison, but because of calling. You are funded not just financially, but spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And you are authorized, not temporarily, not conditionally, but fully. This chapter does not ask for permission. It has already been approved. The path ahead is open. The resistance has lifted. And from here on, you move forward, not chasing, not struggling, but flowing.